You don't like Rubio?
No, I mean, all he's done, I mean, first he violated his pledge. He ran saying comprehensive immigration reform, and that's amnesty. I'm against it. He gets people to vote for him.
What do you want to do with the 15 million?
3 years.
What do you want to do, though?
Still talking.
What do you want to do?
Then he spends 3 years doing nothing but pushing amnesty.
What do we do?
And we know it's not popular, which is why I'd prefer Bernie Sanders to Hillary Clinton, who's now on the side of the Chamber of Commerce. Because
you are out of the box.
The American people have 3 times shut down an amnesty in the last 10 years, and it's not because any network or any politician other than, a few very small ones were opposing it. It was the American people rising up and saying we don't want amnesty. So if that's your big selling point,
I just want to ask.
Nope.
The video opens with palpable tension as Bill Maher introduces the evening's first topic, amnesty. With his signature wit, Maher gestures to Ann Coulter, acknowledging her controversial and well-known stance on the issue. Coulter, calm and unflinching, wastes no time in delivering her critique. Because history has proven that to be a lie, plain and simple, she asserts, her voice cutting through the mixed reactions of the studio audience. Every time we're told that amnesty will be the last, that the border will be secured after that, it's a distraction. Reagan tried it in 1986, and what happened? We ended up with millions more illegal immigrants and no real border security. Amnesty doesn't solve the problem, it exacerbates it. Her remarks were met with both boos and cheers, adding to the already tense atmosphere. The audience erupted with mixed reactions, but Coulter was undeterred by the resistance, preparing for another round of blows, setting the stage for what promises to be a tense and provocative debate. Let's watch.
Don't think it's going to get any place.
In all seriousness, right? So I'm with you. I want to secure the border. I think we need assimilation. But if we have 15 or 30 or 30 million, however many illegals here, what do you do with them if you don't have a pathway to citizenship?
I think it's ridiculous to talk about it until the border is
That's
secure.
a cop-out.
No, it isn't.
Well, what would you?
No, it isn't. You secure the border
I agree.
first.
Let's secure the border, and then what do we do with this?
In 1986, Reagan passed an amnesty saying, "This is it. One amnesty. We'll have border security." It was a lie. Then we got either 12 or 30 million.
Ronald Reagan
being against immigration
First, you
reform,
want the fence.
Being against immigration reform is for the status quo. That means we keep the status quo. The fact is, we have 2 million people working in the fields every day in America. They provide us our food.
Machines.
Now, if I could, and they provide us with food, and we should pay them a decent salary because this is America. Number one.
Why should it be the ones that live within walking distance? What about the other billions
we are
of people
not
who
going to
wanna come
deport
here?
our way out of this. Mitt Romney,
Of course we will.
Mitt Romney got more white votes than any other candidate for the presidency of the United States, and he still got his ass whooped by Barack Hussein Obama by 5 million votes. And so my point to you, Bill, is there's this new American coalition. It's young people, it's gay people, it's Latinos, it's Hispanic, it's people who believe in the environment. And so when I saw Jeb Bush actually attempt to broaden the tent of the Republican Party, he had a diverse group of people.
The immigration reform debate during the episode highlighted deep ideological divides among the panelists, particularly concerning the contentious issue of amnesty and border security. Ann Coulter, known for her uncompromising stance, vehemently argued against granting amnesty to undocumented immigrants. Coulter framed amnesty as a betrayal of American law and order, warning that it rewards lawbreaking and undermines the integrity of immigration policies. Other panelists, however, pushed back, emphasizing the impracticality and inhumanity of leaving millions of undocumented immigrants in legal limbo. They contended that a pathway to citizenship was essential for addressing the systemic exploitation of undocumented workers and ensuring their full integration into society. Arguments were made that without comprehensive reform, the status quo would perpetuate economic inequities and social instability. While Coulter insisted that border security must precede any discussions of legalization, her opponents maintained that a humane and pragmatic solution required addressing the realities of undocumented immigrants already living and contributing to the United States. It's only just begun, but we've already seen the tension build to a climax. So don't miss it. Stay tuned for more developments in the debate.
He spoke in English and in Spanish fluently, and he was unafraid
no reason why conservatives can't win Hispanic votes.
Yeah, there is.
But George
They
W.
speak
Bush
about
got
them
four.
like there's some sort of
We're not winning
You know what? You're right.
disease on the body politic.
That's a problem, isn't it?
That's why they can't. And
That
here's
does
the-
hurt.
Why
But
do
George W. Bush got 40%.
Why do Republicans have to
Well,
be obsessed with winning Democratic constituencies? Why don't we start haranguing Jack, still talking.
Oh, okay.
Why don't we start haranguing the Democrats? Why don't you guys try to cut off more of the evangelical vote? Because you are losing with that. That's 40%
you
of
know what?
America.
May I
Why don't you
risk
get the
agreeing
gun owners?
with one thing that Ann Coulter has to say? I think it is absolutely a bit insulting to say that Hispanics are going to, like lemmings, vote for the Republican Party because your candidate has an O at the end of
Why
his name.
should they like lemmings?
His
But why should they? But why should they
his
like lemmings vote for the Democratic Party?
Because the policies of the Democratic Party, every
No.
poll will show you, most Latinos agree with the
it. That's
policies
right.
of the Democratic
If they want
Party.
the American
They're voting their
dream-
interests. They're voting the policies they agree
They want
with.
big government.
Marco Rubio turned against his own
dad
bill.
came here.
Look,
from
if you
Cuba. He
want
was a
Latinos
bartender.
to
He
listen
wants
to
the American
Republicans, the
dream.
first sign you have to take off is that I don't like you sign. Because as long as
I
you
like
have
you.
I get that.
I
But
dig
that's
you,
not.
man.
But that's not going to win you an election because I'm one voter. But there are millions
One voter
of
at a
voters.
time.
There are millions of voters out there. And when Donald Trump and I find this amazing
When the book's
that the
called- when the book's
Republican
called
Party
Adios
did
America,
not
it does
challenge
present a
Donald
problem.
Trump on what he said. On what he said. No one in the Republican Party,
Right.
Donald Trump. It says so. If Jeb Bush challenges Donald Trump.
The panel delved into the evolving landscape of voter demographics, emphasizing the rise of what was termed the New American Coalition. This coalition, comprising young voters, LGBTQ individuals, and Latinos, was highlighted as a critical and expanding democratic base. Panelists noted that these groups are increasingly aligning with progressive policies on social issues, climate change, and economic equity, making them a powerful force in shaping the Democratic Party's future electoral success. The coalition was seen as emblematic of a shifting America, where diversity and inclusivity play central roles in political identity. The discussion also touched on the Republican Party's struggle to adapt to these demographic changes. While some panelists acknowledged Republican efforts to reach out to minority groups, such as embracing Hispanic candidates and messaging, others criticized these attempts as superficial or inconsistent. A key point of contention was whether Republicans could genuinely appeal to these groups without fundamentally altering their platform on issues like immigration, LGBTQ rights, and racial equity. Some argued that the Yope's policies and rhetoric often alienate these constituencies, creating a significant barrier to building broader support. This debate underscored the challenges faced by both parties in navigating an increasingly diverse electorate. For Democrats, the question was how to maintain the unity of their coalition without alienating more moderate or conservative voters. For Republicans, the challenge lay in overcoming perceptions of exclusion and adapting to a political landscape where minority groups wield growing influence.
All right. Let me go on to another subject.
As George Bush did, he'll lose the Hispanic vote 64.
All right.
But you know what? If
And
you get,
you-
wait,
and by the way,
you
you
get,
know-
if
Tired.
a Republican gets 40% of the Hispanic
Jeez.
vote, he's the president.
No, he isn't.
right.
Yes, he is.
No, you need 71% of the Hispanic vote, and Mitt Romney still would have lost 4% more of the white vote, and he would have won. So what is it Republicans fixated on? And I do not think you are speaking for the Hispanics in this
You're
country
right.
because they're
Mitt
the ones.
Romney should have been whiter.
No.
I believe
George
that's.
Bush could
I
have been
believe that's
whiter.
the
I think George
conclusion
Bush-
we've. Mitt Romney was not white. God damn it! If the Supreme Court rules against Obamacare, can we count on Congress to ensure that millions aren't left without insurance?
Absolutely not. They're not going to. I mean, that Congress is so dysfunctional at this point. But the irony will be, if the Supreme Court rules against the Affordable Care Act, you're going to have millions of red state Americans who will suddenly have their middle class insurance ripped out of their hands, while blue states who went ahead and formed exchanges will still have their insurance. It'll be a crisis for those members of Congress in those red states that are going to be find from their constituents that, wait a minute, I'm losing my health care? I thought it was just going to be them. And when they find out that it's going to be us, not them, I think it's going to be a problem for the Republican Party.
All right. Thank you, panel. Thank you, audience. You were terrific.
In this section, central to the discussion was the potential fallout for millions of Americans, particularly in red states, where Republican lawmakers had resisted the ACA, but whose constituents benefited significantly from its provisions. Panelists noted the irony that many of those at risk of losing their health insurance were residents of states that had not established their own healthcare exchanges and relied on federally facilitated programs. This scenario, they argued, could create a political crisis for Republican legislators. Constituents who had opposed Obamacare in principle might suddenly face the tangible loss of their healthcare coverage. The panel highlighted the dilemma this posed for Republican lawmakers, who would likely face backlash from voters demanding immediate solutions. The prospect of millions losing coverage was framed as a significant challenge for the party's messaging and policy stance, as well as a test of their ability to address healthcare access in the absence of the ACA. This is a great video, and as usual, Coulter crushes the host and his guests. There are some tensions at times, but Coulter has them all shaking in her boots. If you like videos like this, please subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Thank you.